let's just compare the two. TV show Swan versus Robert Jordan casting Swan.
I don't see any difference. They look exactly the same.
Yeah, they're clearly the same. Welcome back to The Watch, and I want to discuss a little bit about the casting on the Wheel of Time more broadly, a bit of a revisit, which has been, for me, re-brought up from the discussion we had on the casting of Avienda, the character Avienda from the Wheel of Time, because the whole discussion about being accurate to the source material and other things like that, I feel very, very relevant, very relevant. So, in terms of what these characters are supposed to look like, Avienda is pretty clear in my mind. It's very distinct and everything. And then there's been debate about what the Emmonsfield Five should look like, the characters that we see in Season 1. And I have heard the defences. There's a very the most popular video of defence about the casting Wheel of Time. I've also looked at very in depth. And at first I was like, okay, it's interesting sources. But then I heard the other side of the argument, the references they brought. And looking at both, it became very clear as to what these characters are actually meant to look like, what the Emmonsfield population was meant to look like, the references, and everything. And to me, the most convincing argument, really, as to what these characters are supposed to look like, in my mind, are the descriptions, not only from the book, but this is the thing. The original author, Robert Jordan, did make a list of actors who he felt would best suit the roles. To me, that is the most important reference you could use then, for not only reflecting the character, but also the level of changes that he felt were appropriate, or that you could push it to still be true to the character. Okay? Because what I find really interesting about the list, he also draws from actors who are dead.
Yeah.
And so he's not restricted. He's picking from anyone. If anyone was possible to pick, this is the person who best suits not only the character in terms of their skin color, but their temperament.
Their gravitas on screen.
Exactly. Their countenance. You know, do they look stern? Are they happy? All those things. So this is really, really important. And I feel this is the most important one. And the main argument I've heard to try and challenge this assertion is really poor, in my opinion. We'll play it in the video, okay? Because I really dislike this argument. First, let's just address the topic of being true to source material. And why it's important, because it's related to all this and everything. And it's so basic, right? If you're a fan of the book, you want to see the book reflected accurately. When you watch this show, you want to instantly recognize that's the book, that's the world, okay? The best way to do that is, of course, to make it look like the descriptions in the book. And then you get the connection, okay? Yeah. I admit that there are sometimes mistakes made in individuals, that they visualize a character the wrong way, they miss a description. I kind of did that with Tuon, I mentioned in the previous video, where I agree a lot of the references people shared is pretty clear. Tuon is dark-skinned.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay? And yeah, I agree. And so if they change Tuon's skin color... What the friggin' hell?
Well, like, the writer is trying to present a vision of his world, right? So he does it to you in the best way that he can. But in this situation, it's him literally telling you, this is exactly what I'm going for.
This is it. Yeah. These are the characters, okay? And so this is the strongest argument, in my mind, for what the characters should actually look like. And the way people have tried to dismiss it, and we'll play it for you, I don't like it. I don't like their logic at all. I think it's very disingenuous. And so, in terms of appreciating the source material, some of the arguments people have made, in terms of the actors that they cast, the arguments they made is that they are the best ones for the role. But they just couldn't find actors that couldn't match the description more accurately that could give the performance needed.
That's just their cope. Yeah. They know they're lying. We know they're lying. That's
complete bullcrap in my mind, because there are a vast array of actors on many price ranges that could do the job. And the performances that we saw, there were some good performances, but there were also some bad ones, okay? And like I said, there are so many actors, you absolutely could find ones that could fit the role, give justice to the performance and reflect what the books actually looked like. So I disagree with completely. And then it comes into what are the real reasons why they want to make these changes, okay? Because it's not to find the best actor. I'm going to rephrase a little bit. If you could get an A-list actor, like who could bring huge attention to the role, I feel that makes sense that you would be willing to allow certain changes in the appearance if they can nail, because one, you pick an actor because they're their performative ability, but also if they're really popular and they can bring eyeballs to the role.
Yeah, which is why they got, what's her name, Rosamund Pike for Moraine.
Yeah.
She was probably the best they could get.
Probably in terms
She's a great actress.
I do wonder where the budget went, though, because a lot of they had a huge budget for Wheel of Time, and a lot of it looks cheap.
I don't think it's as big as they say it is.
You reckon?
They keep saying it's massive, but they don't release their earnings, so why would they release how much they spend on it?
Possibly. I think they a lot of the creators just took the money for themselves. It's like a money laundering scheme almost.
There is that, but also they could be just fibbing. They're like, oh, we spent 900 million, but like that 900 million could be invested at any point, not just the production, but at any point.
And also just being smart. Like, instead of wasting money building this massive, massive set, you could use real world locations and things.
Yeah.
Look, granted, COVID did have issues with production in regards to that, but still, I would be happy to have low budget certain elements to get the right actors and to hit other things. Like, I've been enjoying Stargate SG-1. Has heaps of action and everything, and there's low budget effects, but it doesn't bother me because it's a great show. Okay? So...
Same thing with, what do you call it? Firefly.
Yeah.
Yep. But it actually gave to the charm, actually.
A bit, yeah. So... Again, going back to why then would they make the changes? It's actually not budget. It's not to find the right actors, everything. It's for the progressive talking point of diversity.
But if they're willing to lie about, the actors, of course they'd lie about how much they spend, and they'll lie about anything.
But what's frustrating is that Wheel of Time has a very diverse cast already.
Yep.
Okay.
They go all over.
Yeah. And look at our Avienda video. If they actually wanted like fair diversity, where there's an appropriate amount of acting roles for people of multi ethnicities and everything, to the number of these ethnicities that are actually trying to get the jobs, the fair way would be the percentage. There's this percentage of, and look, I find that bullcrap. I find that bullcrap in the I don't like that argument.
But that's their argument.
That's their argument. They're using this is their logic. Yes, okay. If you actually want equality, you would then say there's this amount of white actors, this amount of black actors, and therefore this amount of roles, this amount to make it fair. But I think it's bullcrap. You just be true to the story. I don't think you need white representation in Black Panther, okay, or black representation or white representation in an Asian film like Squid Game. Mostly Koreans, except for when you have the foreigners come in. Makes sense, okay? For the story that you're telling, you reflect whatever land, place, culture that they're coming from accurately, and it doesn't mean representation doesn't matter. Don't care, okay? So, Wheel of Time, there's already plenty of diversity in it, okay? There are really prominent characters with different coloured skin, all that's all there, but no, they have an agenda, okay? And they will go against very clear things in, when we say clear, the colour, the skin colour and tones of people, the two rivers, that has been debunked. People have been saying, they can have multiple people in and everything like that. In actual fact, the defence videos debunks themselves, I find, with the references they give and then the way they try and defend it. And the one that, to me, when I was watching this video where they bring up the casting Robert Jordan had, and Robert Jordan actually cast, had this is who I would, if I had any pick in the world, these are the actors I'd pick.
Yeah, alive or dead. That
is the nail in the coffin. That's the author picking who, and we want to go through who they are to show you who they actually cast in the role versus the best pick that the author would actually make, to signal boost this a bit more, to show you that they don't care about source material. And this is only in one small aspect, okay? The casting is a small aspect to the larger disservice and disrespect they showed to the show, where they have cut and butchered so much of the source material.
So much. There's so much great stuff in the book that they could have put in the show, but they didn't.
Exactly. And we hate the politicization of it, and we've pushed back and pointed out where it's happened. But if you want to take that is just divorced of the politics and just looks at the show as a show by itself, I've watched a video recently. I think it's by a guy named Man Says Things or something like that. I'll put the link here where he just reviews the show on its writing, divorced from the books, and it's awful. Many of the points we also brought up, but he is just looking at it. I'm divorcing from the book. Here's the objective analysis of how the show writing is awful. Highly recommended. Look, I don't know what his views are. He might hate us, like everything, because we are trying to push back in against agenda, and then people say we have an agenda as a result. And if it's for just basic conservative values, or just make good media, we have an agenda.
Well, we just want it to be like the books. That's our agenda.
Yeah, for Wheel of Time, absolutely. Because there are things in Wheel of Time I disagree with, but be true to the books, okay? There is one thing that I actually really dislike, how the books resolve a certain arc. I don't want to give you spoilers, so I'll keep it. I won't mention what it is. But what it kind of says about what should be permissible or tolerated and stuff like that, I really dislike. But I would never change it. This is Robert Jordan's story, his vision. I wouldn't touch it. Okay, but that doesn't mean I don't disagree with certain things in it. That's you be true to the source material. You don't push your own agenda. That's the most insulting thing.
Yeah.
Rafe Judkins, he's the showrunner of the Wheel of Time TV show. He has co-opted another man's work to push his own agenda. He's admitted stuff. He says, absolutely, I'm going to be pushing my own feminist agenda in this. Yeah. He's said this stuff, right?
But what you said before about, there's things, you love this thing, but there's a part of it you don't like, but you wouldn't change it at all. I'm the same thing. Halo City, way too slow, but I wouldn't change it. Anyway, sorry, go on.
All right. So it's admitted. All right, he is actually using another man's work to push his own political agenda. That is disgusting. It's immoral.
It's wrong. It's bloody wrong. That's his life's work.
Yeah,
it's his baby, and you're just
it's something that everyone loves. And the agenda is so on display, and he is butchered and just made the interpretation of the characters so awful, so awful.
And you did your best. You gave him the benefit of the doubt time after time until about episode 5.
So it's disgusting. And the Wheel of Time TV show and the show on Rafe Judkins, the only thing it'll be remembered in history, because mostly it'll be ignored as a terrible show, but what he did to it, you'll be remembered as a scumbag. That's how you'll be remembered.
And just as a bad writer.
Yeah, and it's just incompetent. Yeah. Okay? And so those are the greater disservices, all right? But it's reflected in the casting. Okay, because they have an action, right? They have an agenda to push, right? Where they don't want diversity. Okay, they want supremacy. They want control. They want.
Careful, that is a spicy one.
Well, they're the ones who are doing it.
I know, and I 100% agree with you. But it will be a spicy one for them. It's calling out their agenda so blatantly like that, they don't like it.
But it's true, and there's all the evidence there for it.
Don't say I didn't warn you, though.
And, well, someone needs to call it out. Because that's the other tragedy about Wheel of Time, is that the ideologues have co-opted the show and are trying to shut down voices of fans who are objecting to this type of bullcrap.
Yeah.
This utter desecration of something that is so pure and awesome, as the Wheel of Time books are. And so, okay, let's have a look at... Actually, I'm going to address the arguments to first try and say you shouldn't listen to the author's recommendations, and then we're going to go through the casting.
Yeah.
Okay? And so this is I think it's from the Dusty Wheel or something like that. And so he has the casting here, okay? And let's see what he says in result.
This argument is flawed also. Why? These actors do not match attribute for attribute the physical canon descriptions of the books.
Because the actors Robert Jordan picked don't match attribute to attribute the characters from the books, you can then ignore everything and change whatever the hell you want. That's the logic. How friggin' bullcrap is that? Well, why don't you have a horse play Rand then? I mean, Robert Jordan was willing to... their difference in height a little bit? That means Robert Jordan clearly didn't care about the descriptions. A pig could do the job.
What we need is genetic engineering to completely create a person that matches word for word.
Clearly. It's so, this is so disingenuous because any reasonable person who looks at Robert Jordan's casting, and if they see there's a bit of a change, a bit of a difference, any reasonable person will realize, okay, that's the level of change that Robert Jordan felt was okay. But he wanted to pick a great actor who could do a great job in performance, and obviously wanted to pick one that suited the look as well.
Yeah.
And whatever change was the one that was said was appropriate or tolerable, but nothing more than that. Because guess what? He didn't pick a horse to play Rand, did he?
He didn't.
Holy crap!
But also, it's a straw man basically. It's like no one said it needed to match exactly. Just it needed to represent the character.
But not even like it needs to look like a character mostly. And where most people will be okay with a couple of changes, change in height. If you can get an actor that envisions the person looks like them, would be okay with a slight change in height. Because guess what? It goes on.
5'9" Cher is not 5'7" Fail with
5'9" is not 5'7" because it's a few inches in height. We can just throw the baby out with the bathwater and change whatever the hell we want.
This guy's just nitpicking completely.
Oh, come off it. This is such a stretch to dismiss one of the most valid arguments about the casting.
with prominent tilted eyes. 5'1" Moiraine isn't 5'7" Hedy Lamarr.
You kidding me?
Because they're slightly different in height. Oh, it's just...
Perrin doesn't look like Val Kilmer.
Perrin doesn't look like Val Kilmer. How do you know? I think I really think that Robert Jordan might have a better insight to that.
Yeah.
Like we're given countenance of Perrin, general complexion, but does he go down into the eyes are spaced this far apart, and he has this exact type of nose and everything like that?
And also for things like skin color, eye color, hair color, and style.
Those can be changed, and you won't be accused of black hair. You can change hair color, and I was like, changing skin tone, because this is the thing, right? If a character's skin tone was described a certain way, okay, like, I don't have the cultural offensive baggage about blackface and everything. I come from Australia. I'm not connected with it. Maybe if I was, I would have a stronger reaction to it, okay?
I do for whiteface.
Do you?
I don't like it.
But the thing is, right, I want the actors to look like the character, okay? And if you got an actor that matched the description every way except skin tone, I don't mind, make the complexion a little bit brighter or darker to match it, because I want the character reflected. It's not racist. It's just they're trying to... The very point of acting is to play another role, but the fact that they actually change the actor's appearance in stylization to make them look like the actor...
Look, for blackface, like, it doesn't affect me, but I'm not going to begrudge someone because it does affect them.
I agree. I do agree.
But the reason I don't like whiteface is because they're trying to trick me, and I don't like being tricked by anyone for any reason, unless I'm going to see a magician. Yeah, and what I also find significant is, one of the things that Robert Jordan doesn't do? What? He doesn't pick a character of a different skin complexion. Sorry, he doesn't pick an actor of a different skin complexion to the one he's picking, like the character in his book. Because there's a character with dark skin, and guess who he picks to play him? Halle Berry.
Halle Berry, dark skin.
She's more mulatto than anything.
Well, I want to talk a bit about the Halle Berry choice, right? Because again, it sets a precedent of the difference, okay? But clearly, Robert Jordan wanted actors who had the correct skin tone for the role, which tells you a little bit about what the skin tone of these characters are in the books, okay? Because they do reflect the books. But when he says, oh, Val Kilmer doesn't look like Perrin, look, what are you talking? Do you know what Perrin's face looks like? You know complexion, temperament and things?
He's upset because Perrin doesn't look like a bunch of words on a page. How dare they?
Halle Berry distinctly varies in look from Tuan.
No, what I'm saying is, like, he doesn't look like literally the words written
So he says Halle Berry distinctly varies in look from Tuan. We'll talk a bit about that, because I wonder if that is the star power thing, like having a big star.
Yeah, but again, if the author has said, I'm choosing to do this for my casting...
Yes.
Yeah, I mean...
That's the thing. And... So Halle Berry, right? She's got more in the chest than the description of Tuan.
Oh boy, does she!
Yeah, and she has not as dark skin tone. That seems to be talked about.
But her facial structure is
heart shaped.
Yeah, very heart shaped.
Okay,
she's gorgeous.
And Tuan carries herself a very specific way. Okay, Halle Berry could pull that off really
Absolutely,
well.
She's very graceful,
but also very stern and authoritative.
She
can do it.
She's a good actress. She's had some really bad roles. Poor girl.
Yeah. Still, we're given a level of variance. Okay, guess what? You could cast someone who has maybe different sized breasts than that. Because it's funny, there is specifically mentioned that Tuon even says it, that she doesn't have as much in the chest department as she would like.
I wouldn't recommend Christina Hendricks for that role.
I don't know who that is, but I'm assuming.
Firefly, she's the bad wife.
Oh, okay. No.
She got bigger, man.
She's really a bit too. But that's the thing.
She could feed a starving nation.
Robert Jordan didn't pick someone with huge bazongas. It was within the realm of acceptable difference.
I like that. Bazongas.
Bazongas.
Every other name for boob is hilarious.
Yeah, I know, right? But imagine if you had someone playing Tuon and they just have these.
Yeah.
It wouldn't fit.
A big old pair of Marushka Hagates, yeah.
But it's not that much of a difference from the description. And so we're seeing the change that Robert Jordan felt was tolerable was actually fairly subtle, okay? And that's the level that, if you want to be respectful, that's the level you work within, okay? But in other instances, you can use this as a very clear guideline to what the characters looked like.
So if Robert Jordan is willing to pick actors who expressly do not match the exact physical attributes...
Whoa. Expressly do... That's the thing. Because it's bullcrap to say they expressly do not match, but there's like the exact physical attributes.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he picked ones that do expressly match close enough to the characters in a satisfying way. That was obviously his intent.
No one could expressly match them exactly unless you went into that universe and ripped them out of it.
But because it's not exactly, they're slight difference in height, well, you can just pick whoever you want.
You're 2 centimeters shorter? How dare you cast this person?
His characters. Why do fans continue to claim that if Rafe does the same, he's going against Robert Jordan's
Because Rafe didn't write the book. You know what he did write? Some crap.
Yes. So Robert Jordan, let's say Robert Jordan actually does pick someone who's wholly different. Guess what? That's where death of the author comes in, and the audience, the readers, that we're not idiots, would say this does not match the description.
Yeah. What does death of the author mean? What does that mean exactly?
So it's when the author tries to say something that contradicts his own work, and that's when the audience can actually appeal to the work itself.
Okay, now I get it. Yeah, I agree with death of the author. It, like with all the Disney crap and all that.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't happen in every instance because the author is the primary authority on these things, which is true.
But if they're going to change things, they should address it.
Yeah, and the thing that we're seeing here with Robert Jordan's casting picks, it's not he hasn't changed his character completely. There's a slight variance, okay, in a couple of cast, and maybe in only one specific casting there's more variance than the others. But that doesn't mean you can therefore disregard all the other casting or his standard and in what he's demonstrating, the level of variance is willing to allow. But that's what they want to go with. It's like, see, Robert Jordan was okay with changing things, therefore Rafe it's also at a clear admission. This contradicts so much the other arguments, right? Because he's acknowledging here that Rafe has picked actors who do not reflect the casting, but they're trying to say Robert Jordan was okay with those changes, so therefore it should be okay for Rafe to make those changes, therefore acknowledging Rafe cast actors who do not accurately reflect the character descriptions.
In that case, Horse Rand. Bring him in.
Horse Rand. Yep. Hey, he's like, because a change in height is clearly equivalent in
absolutely,
any change. We can change whatever we want now. No, these are not equivalent, and this is a very disingenuous argument. It's horrible logic, and they're stretching. They are reaching to just try and validate the show. The show is crap, but they're like, the show must be good. Don't criticize it, and we'll go to some horrible logic to justify it.
And that's just sunken cost fallacy. They have to be like, oh, it's cope.
Yeah, it really is.
Good news. Rafe is following in the footsteps of Robert Jordan himself in this regard.
Look, I'm sorry, excuse my language, but it just pisses me off. You disingenuous ass.
That was pretty darn smarmy. I wasn't like, he makes a straw man. Is like, well, guess what? You should be okay with it.
No, look, I can put up with a lot of character flaws, right? Lord knows you guys do it for me. But I cannot deal with people being deliberately disingenuous about... I hate that.
It does seem deliberately disingenuous.
It is.
It's pretty darn clear. And I don't speak for Oz. He's a man of his own views and everything like that. The door is still open for a dialogue with this gentleman for me. I think even good people can... I have fallen into this trap where I, don't realize my own flawed logic because I'm trying to focus on something else too much.
So you just crossed a bridge here.
Well, I'm aware of this stuff. I
didn't know you were aware of it.
I'm not perfect.
Look, I know that you know you're not perfect, but I wasn't sure you were aware of that.
course. That's a common failing of everyone. If everyone can acknowledge that, you're blind to yourself.
Well, I like to think that I was the only person who can acknowledge that. No, I just know that I don't really know if I'm being reasonable, but I can be aware if I'm staying on principle. That's the only thing that, even then, it's hard, almost impossible. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it's like
Oprah.
And again, the changes Robert Jordan made are so in fact, the casting he did, as we will see, reflect the characters really well. I would love this casting. Imagine a Wheel of Time show with this casting. It'll be like incredible. But height difference, and so guess what? Rafe Judkins, he's just doing the same thing as Robert Jordan. He's following Robert Jordan's example by making casting characters that do not reflect.
Yeah.
Because
even then, it's his to change. It's Robert Jordan's to change.
Exactly.
And you could say, oh, but Amazon owns it. No, look, they might own the rights to the property, but they don't own it in spirit.
Yeah.
It's not theirs. It's Robert Jordan's.
If you would have an issue with them changing Rand into a horse, you should have an issue with all these changes.
Yeah.
Rand is actually the actor that they cast as Rand does match Rand's description, but let's look at Egwene, okay? Egwene and also Perrin, they do not match the skin tone that is described for the Two Rivers. Two Rivers is tanned, not dark.
Yeah, like olive.
They're like Italians, okay?
Yeah, Sicilians, yeah.
Okay, that's really, really clear because Rand, we know Rand is pale, but Elida assumed Rand's skin tone matched the Two Rivers until she lifted up the arm and saw the more pale skin that was not tanned by the sun. And then she said, Two Rivers people are not as that light of skin. That meant the tan they had on his hands, which is just a regular tan from a fairly pale person, matched the skin tone of the Two Rivers, the general Two Rivers. That was the fact that Defenders actually used that scene to try and say, Two Rivers people are supposed to be of darker complexion. It's like, it contradicts them because the thing that they're actually using says the opposite. It's like, no, the Two Rivers people are actually supposed to be somewhat tanned white people, essentially.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Elida couldn't have assumed that he was of the Two Rivers based on Rand's skin tone, but she literally had to lift up his arm to see the more pale skin.
Look, I wouldn't mind if everyone
lift up the sleeve.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if everyone in the Two Rivers was like the same skin tone as Show Egwene and Show Perrin. But the fact that it was completely
inconsistent.
Well, throughout there was Asian people, there was all different types of people.
It was as diverse as Tar Valon.
Yeah,
and
more so.
And it really is. And they try to say, look, secluded, but they had people come in and out. And the exception would, as to different
Traders.
skin tones, would be maybe 5% at most of that population.
But they were traders.
Yeah.
They were people who came in and left. They didn't come in, set up shop, and stay there every 5 years.
Yeah.
Because that would make sense. But even then, you'd still have a cultural, ethnic, an ethnos cornerstone, a noticeable majority.
Yeah. So there are those issues with the casting, but also Egwene, the actress. Look, there are heaps of people where she would be a knockout for, okay? But if you're just being, the standard beauty standards that we see trying for... Egwene is supposed to be a knockout. I'm sorry, this actress is not a knockout, okay? She doesn't reflect as beautiful as Egwene is supposed to be. She doesn't match it in that regard, and she doesn't match it with other attributes as well.
She's not ugly.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's ugly.
Knockout.
Yeah, okay. And she can be a knockout for some, because there's individual taste, all right?
Yeah.
But if we'll just say, look...
But we're relying on the taste of a gay man, so...
So there's that. Same with Nynaeve, okay? Now, in terms of the actress, she does, I feel, match Nynaeve's countenance.
She does a very good job at portraying Nynaeve. But that's
I would not look at her and think Nynaeve.
That's like being the smartest person in the retard class,
And you're saying you couldn't have found an actress that more accurately reflected or could pull off that performance and then still look more like it? Like, of course you could. Of course you could.
But also, just to be fair, she was the most fitting in terms of the way she portrayed the role.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. But, Lan. Lan is a big secret. Like he does not look like reflect Lan in a countenance, appearance, and just action. Lan is. Ooh.
And then when he ripped his shirt open and twisted his nipples and screamed.
Oh, but it's really interesting to see who Robert Jordan picked for Lan.
Yeah,
we'll get there. Let's see if there was any more of this argument.
The best actors, even if they do not physically match attribute for attribute.
There's multiple things, okay? First, again, even Robert Jordan picks, all right, they matched attribute much closer than the other picks. But again, because you think that he's doing the false equivalence, is it's okay because, again, pick a horse. It doesn't. you should be fine because the horse could pull off the performance, even though it doesn't match attribute to attribute to the original one. I mean, come on.
It would be funny if like there's a polar bear somewhere in Wheel of Time, and they're like, oh, here's a polar bear, but it's like a brown bear.
Yeah.
Like, see, attribute for attribute, it doesn't matter.
And it's a full acknowledgement here that a lot of the characters, Min does not look like Min at all. The actors
Doesn't act like Min at all.
like it's like Min doesn't exist in the adaptation of Wheel of Time, but he's trying to say, well, again, what he's saying is actually a pretty strong acknowledgement that the actors they cast do not match. Yeah, not even attribute. They don't match even close. But I think they're aware of that. But they're trying to justify it again, that false equivalence, because Robert Jordan ones was slightly different in height. You freaking come off it.
It's what's that? It's a fallacy. I just don't know what type it's called because there's many.
It's a false equivalence fallacy, I think, because he's trying to make the changes that Robert Jordan made equivalent to the changes that Rafe Judkins made, but they're not the same changes.
Yeah.
Now, like Rafe is making these actors do not reflect the descriptions, but Robert Jordan's does. But it's trying to say, difference in height, so therefore, baby out with a buffalo. Again, it's a false equivalence fallacy. And again, and it was also acknowledgement that they are making big changes. But they're picking actors that can make the performances. Like no, they could pick actors that
Nice try.
hit the performance and reflect as well. Of course they could.
It's like they've heard one of our points about don't hire for representation, right? And then they've like we meant that for every other industry. We didn't mean for acting, right? And they're just like, take their argument and put it here. But it doesn't fit there, you know? You get a slightly worse actor, like they didn't hire an Oscar winner, you know? Like that would be the best possible person for the role, someone who's won an Oscar, because that's clearly the best actor.
Yeah, but it'll be too expensive.
But my point is right, they've like our argument for pick the best person for the role meant for positions of leadership or production or like we meant actual industry.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. But also, the thing is, part of picking the best person for the role is finding someone that matches the description.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the key. And the thing is, even the actors they picked, they're not like some of the performances were a bit really.
Oh boy, yeah, no.
Like
again,
you picked. You were willing to sacrifice making an actor picking an actor that did not look like the character for their performance.
Yeah.
What great performance did the actress who played Min? She was. Flat and uninteresting. The performance was average.
I'd like to play devil's advocate for the actors.
Yeah.
They probably didn't have the best director.
Because
Lan, there were some points in the show where I'm like, okay, that could be Lan if he kept that sort of...
Maybe, but he doesn't look as stern enough for Lan or imposing.
Absolutely not, but he could if he want to. Have you seen a pissed off Asian guy with a sword?
I don't know.
Dude, that's stern.
I reckon...
I think he could have done it, right?
He could have done it, but not as good as someone who has a face that looks like a brick.
Well, look, he couldn't go Liam Neeson.
Lan is supposed to look like stone when he's looking at you, right?
Yeah, look, they couldn't do Liam Neeson, right? But, like, the point where he interacts with Nani for the first time, like, you actually tried to kill me. Like, that felt like Lan to me.
Yeah.
But if he kept that sort of, like, you know, I don't know, but that just reminded me of Lan there. And he should have kept that sort of...
Well, so... Yes.
Instead of ripping his shirt open and crying.
Even actors that do not perfectly or even closely look and reflect like the character can try and, portray the character accurately in performance.
Does it say that Lan has...
Sometimes.
Does it say that Lan, like, descriptive-wise, does it say that he's Caucasian?
No. Malkier... So... I assumed that Malkier looked a little bit Asian because the Borderlands look Asian, but it turns out Malkier... no, it's actually not Asian.
Okay, so it's Caucasian.
No, look at who Robert Jordan casts in the role.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was just talking about in like a demeanor, you know. But yeah.
Yeah.
Now, finally, let's address the white elephant in the room: Edmonds Field and the Two Rivers.
The white elephent in the room.
Because they're talking about the whiteness. So,
yeah, I know, but like that's not even the saying. The saying is, let's address the elephant in the room, or let's.
Yeah, well, he's being
a dick.
Tongue in cheek. But anyway, so that was the defense for the casting, and I find the logic and argumentation behind that defense. Even when I first heard it, I was like, no, you're telling me that the author has a casting list. That is the best example. Like, you don't dismiss it. And that logic you use, hey, changes in height, and because there's more changes with one of the casting versus the others, that means you could make the same level of changes to all the casting.
I'm just stuck on white elephant. Why white elephant? That's not the thing.
Yeah.
That's
That goes to a
racist.
different thing. So let's look at the actual casting of that Robert Jordan did for Wheel of Time. And so beginning thing, Randall Thor, he cast a young Matt Damon. I think it could work.
No, you're wrong.
Why?
It's Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. Oh,
That's
yeah,
close
you're
though.
right, right.
They're
Ben
literally
Affleck.
joined at the hip.
Oh, but because he doesn't have, ginger hair, you could cast someone with dark skin, even though Rand's skin color is a very significant plot point in the story.
Why don't
I
they
bet
just cast
they would have
Ross?
loved to have changed that, but that
yeah.
one, I wouldn't even put it. They changed Avienda, and so they're willing to butcher the Aiel background
Yeah.
of Rand already. And so, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, just cast a horse.
He's like, yeah, horse. Okay. But also demeanor, like Ben Affleck, he does have like a stern, resting face that, especially for Rand's arc in the middle, like especially when you reach to book 4 and then later, that would really match it.
Well, I don't know
Also,
much of actors.
he's got a stronger jaw. He looks stronger. Like this is a better casting than what
Yeah.
they did. Even though the casting they did for Rand is okay.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the closest they have in the show.
I know his range and his sternness is, but like his levity is, he has an awkward levity. If you've ever seen him, like,
Well, you know what's interesting? Rand has an awkward levity.
oh really?
Yeah, there's a part in the book where I won't spoil it, but there's characters around him laughing, and they don't understand the humor because they're from a different culture, and Rand is never laughing at their jokes, and so Rand's like, I can crack a joke, and then he goes and cracks a joke to them, and they're just like, it does come off awkward, and they just look at him like,
I'll show you. Right, he's got that like that awkward boyish levity.
That would really suit Rand.
Yeah.
And I as a true lover of the books, right? That's a brilliant casting. It really makes me feel Robert Jordan knows these characters.
Yeah, and he's not actually. He knows the actors.
He knows the actors, and you're right. The awkward humor of Affleck would suit Rand perfectly, and the sternness, and the height, and the strength of the jaw. That's great.
Yeah, and what do you call it? If you know anything about Val Kilmer, he can do like silent, strong type.
Yeah. All right, so Val Kilmer would need a bulk up for Perrin in my mind.
Oh, he's bulked up before. He's a
has
big
he?
guy.
Okay.
Well, not anymore. He's old now.
He's old now.
Back in the day.
But back in the day, he would need, because that was one of the things, they got, the guy that they cast for Perrin did have the height, but I don't think, they put him in really thick clothing and is wearing thick wool to try and get the thickness of, and
But you didn't get strong silent type from the guy who they've got to play him now.
I got that from him.
Really? I
Yeah.
got like just wimp.
See, well, the wimping, they double, there's no, current Perrin, this is more in performance, I feel, not the actor's capacity for it.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Is weak and pathetic. But the big thing, so I think in terms of countenance and size, the current casting does reflect that. But the skin tone, it doesn't match the Two Rivers. There's a distinct difference there. Also, style of hair. They're because he's got the really short kind of, is
Curls.
it nappy curtain or strong type
It's like
curls?
Kels. He's not entirely black, which would be nappy, but yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't match Perrin, and that throws me out as well. So Matron Cawthon. Okay,
He's got that twinkle in his eye.
he does. He has this cheeky twinkle in his eye. Look at that. But he's got a strong jaw and chin on him and stuff. That would work. Yeah, that would.
And he's got the heroic sort of thing.
He does. Look at that. Look at that.
Because that's what Matt ends up to be.
He does.
Yeah.
He does. It's great. It's great casting.
Let's do more. I like this. Let's find out.
Man Mardigan when he was in Willow.
Yeah, he's got the look for it.
He's got the
That's like a cold step. That fits
that
it.
one. Look at that.
Imagine that with yellow eyes.
That would be great. Gosh, this just pissed me off because his pics are so much better. Look at that for Perrin,
That fits.
that would be.
Who else? Let's see what else we got.
This is so much better.
Piss Shad off today.
Oh my goodness.
Liam Neeson just perfectly bloody.
I
look
know
at,
Liam Neeson. For
Ra's al Ghul.
Land.
Imagine Ra's al Ghul. We've already seen that,
Liam Neeson has that sternness, and his face looks like chiseled stone when he's just Liam Neeson would just be amazing for Perrin. For Lan. Look at wow. Holy crap, that is Moraine incarnate, man. I was gonna say the current cast of Moraine is alright. I think that would. Then I saw that, I was like, Moraine's stern stare, and
It's
I said
referenced many times.
I know, and they're supposed to be reserved, and then they keep their emotions in check. Look at that friggin' picture, man.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Because it said multiple times from Moraine even when she's in arguments, it's that stare that's like, it's not one way or the other, but you can tell what she's feeling.
And then she has the dark hair that Moraine is supposed to have, like a dark brown by the look of it. But you can change hair color pretty easily, so that's another thing. Like, gosh.
Who else we got? Let's keep going.
It's just, these, like, again, he had the pick of anyone, live or dead, and he obviously picked ones that reflect the characters best, both in appearance but in countenance, and he's hitting it out of the park. Like, these character castings are amazing. So, Egwene Alvear, wow. Egwene Alvear with Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn is one of the most beautiful women who's ever lived. Like, that's just almost not up for debate.
Yeah, probably the most delicate woman to ever live. Look at her.
Look at that.
Oh, man.
Compare this to who they cast as Egwene.
Yeah.
You can't compare. I mean, that's just...
That, like, kind of cuts into my soul.
Does it?
Like, I'm not even kidding, man. It's an image, but it leaves you vulnerable.
And Egwene, he felt... Egwene is supposed to be a knockout like this, right? But she does have this kind of imperious sternness to her, and Egwene can get high and mighty and imperious, and especially with her whole arc. Liam Neeson, I mean, whoever's editing this, bring up pictures of Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson would be just incredible.
And we've seen it in as Ra's al Ghul.
I know, where he's got the sternness and Lan is quiet, right? But when he speaks, you take notice. Yeah. Because his voice, just remember those lines, stand up, sheep herder. Imagine Liam Neeson delivering those.
And we've seen it with Batman Begins. But also, then there's the quiet moments where, like, he describes his great love that he missed, you know? Mm-hmm. And, dude, those scenes with Lan where he's like, what was the part he said where Nynaeve is like, you know, you have everything you can to give me, like, what you are is enough. And he's like, you know, not even a king could give you what you need. Stuff like that, you know? I can't remember exactly what he said. Bloody hell, he wrote it so eloquently. But, yeah, perfect choice.
Mm-hmm. Nynaeve, a young Jacqueline Bisset.
Damn, she's a knockout too.
Nynaeve is supposed to be a knockout. Woof.
Let's find angry.
There's a bit of a...
I can release her.
Yeah.
Oh, what about... Oh, no, go back to that one. Oh, yeah, okay, now scroll down. There. I guess
Yeah, that could be a Nynaeve. For easily. I'd be interested to know what her height is. But yeah, Nynaeve is supposed to be a knockout. This is who Robert Jordan felt best suited the role. And honestly, I reckon better than the current casting. Even though with Nynaeve, I do admit, like, her performance is closest out of all. It's not a high bar to pass, but...
To be fair, how hard is it to play angry woman? Okay, I'm kidding. That's a downplay of the role she played. She did the best out of everyone. But
the picture here certainly reflects Nynaeve. So, you know, Tom Maryland.
Patrick Stewart.
Did he actually...
He had hair at one point. Patrick Stewart with hair.
Patrick Stewart.
Probably just the voice.
It's the voice, but I mean, definitely you could pull it off.
I'm Patrick Stewart. I can't really.
But especially, Tom is supposed to have like an orator voice, you know, and especially the audiobook really cares. It's deeper. It's like, I'm Tom Maryland.
Tom Maryland.
Tom Maryland. I'm a gleeman.
But when he had hair, that was specifically when he was in Shakespeare. Tom
Maryland is Shakespearean.
Yeah.
Of course this would
That's
be
why he picked that, yeah.
But let's look up what he looks like.
There he is.
He looks so different.
Patrick Stewart.
There's our Tom Maryland.
There he is.
Give him a big moustache, and we have Tom Maryland. Wow, he looks... You can see him, but he looks young, I guess, different.
On the left. Up. The big moustache. I'll Photoshop a moustache onto him.
His hair needs to be a bit more wild and scruffy.
I'll try facial hair too.
Yeah.
Okay, it's too.
So that type of hair would suit Maryland. Give him a moustache.
I think a good Gandalf too.
Like, look at this one here. That hair with a moustache. Perfect, Tom Maryland. You could not get better than that.
But no, instead we get...
like a gravelly voice cowboy who sings like this.
Again, it was like
awful.
the stylistic choices of this gay dude.
They butchered Tom so much.
And there is a correlation, because that's what he thought was cool. The Gleemans are the cool dudes.
Oh my goodness. Pardon Fane. This would be so. I always pictured Pardon. This is how I pictured. Let's see if it matches at all. Pictured Pardon Fane bald. That was just me. I think maybe he goes bald later on, but he kind of hunches down and they're short, like, and then he's like he gets a bit of like we talk. About
I pictured like a Grima Wormtongue sort of.
A bit like that, yeah. So, who's this one again?
Alan Rickman.
Oh,
dude! Imagine him swabbed up as Hans Gruber.
Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
I love Alan Rickman.
Rest in peace.
Oh,
Rickman.
Man. The voice work he could do without just even that. That's like Pardon Fane. Yes.
Even as bloody like Hans Gruber age.
Yeah. Now, Pardon Fane, because we don't know much about his heritage, where he comes from, everything like that. His skin tone isn't as much of a important part in the story, the backstory, the identifying feature, and so Pardon Fane is a good example of one of the characters that you could better get away with a skin tone switch.
Yeah, but you need someone who has that sleaziness to him.
Yeah, and the actor they picked does have the sleaziness.
Yeah, I don't like him as the role because he's not like
he doesn't have the voice,
and he doesn't have the cunning. You know?
Yeah. Pardon Fane is supposed to be very cunning, very dangerous. Like when you speak to him, you're supposed to get the impression that this guy's actually crazy and insanely dangerous
and evil.
And you're supposed to get these bad vibes from him, not this jester, crazy, teethy kind of thing.
And also like Alan Rickman, he played a good guy and like that was like supposed to be malevolent for Snape, and he played it perfect. Mint.
Like, the voice work. Because Pardon Fane, his accent is supposed to change, and the voice is supposed to be like a key thing about the character, and that's what the current casting just doesn't have. Alan Rickman, his voice could just smash and just blow out of the park. That would be so good.
Have you seen him do?
I'm getting frustrated.
Hans Gruber. But yeah, when he did Hans Gruber, perfect. Oh wait, no, here we go.
Sorry, I look. I'm being genuine here, right? I got massive Pardon Fane vibes, especially when he leant forward and you saw his nose on profile. But he's got a slightly bigger nose, which really suited. I've always pictured Pardon Fane with a big nose. I don't know why, but when I saw the nose on profile, and especially there was that just bit of a hunch there, that was full on. That was Pardon Fane, man.
Just wait.
And the computer controls the vault.
Just.
Like, because Pardon Fane is he's supposed to adopt the persona of this insanely manipulative, evil politician. That was all that right there.
Last thing.
Who said we were terrorists?
You see? Perfect!
Perfect! Holy crap! Gee. Who would be surprised that the writer, the author, would know his characters well and would be able to cast them perfectly? Like, he's a difference in 2 inches height! We can ignore everything now!
4 seconds.
Okay.
Just, like, he's just so bloody good. But he's dead now, so... But seriously, man, like...
That... the menace, the voice... it doesn't compare. I'm sorry, when you compare it to the current actors, and these could be lovely people, I don't know them personally, but in terms of doing justice to the role, it's like night and day. They don't even come close to how well Robert Jordan picks.
But that's the thing, and I feel like you might have been thinking too much about his role in the Halo show, the guy who played Pardon Fane. I've seen that guy in other things. I've seen him in not just Halo and not just this show, but he was in an episode of Black Mirror. And even his episode of Black Mirror, he had more range than...
Really? Okay, so maybe he could have done better if there was just
He could have. I think the director did an awful job.
I mean, the director's... Yeah, you're right, because not only did he misinterpret their appearance, his interpretation of their personality and character is awful. He is butchered. Moraine is vile. Perrin is a weak, pathetic... Just so many of these characters are just awful now because the Rafe Judkins, the showrunner, he doesn't understand the characters at all. He has an agenda-driven vision for this show, and it's just butchered so much. And even actors that could have actually portrayed the roles even better because we agree misdirection. Because Pat Fane's character is like, he's just this, goofy.
Even then, there's no, like.
Yeah, Pat Fane, he's supposed to not look physically intimidating, but you are scared crapless of him just because of his look, his demeanor.
What he's willing to do. He's willing to say and do anything.
And the manipulation factor is so important with the Pat Fane character, especially the evil politician kind of thing that comes in. Holy crap. I'm sorry, the current guy isn't doing that at all, but that is because the Min Farshaw. So
Min Farshaw is Isabella Rossellini.
So Min, the casting of Min is one of the ones I have the biggest issue with because it is so contrary to the character in every way. Age, appearance, personality, demeanor, the way they talk.
She's gorgeous.
Look at this one here. Yeah, way better.
But here's her
being cheeky and stuff. The current actress Min is just nothing.
She doesn't have it.
Nothing.
But can we really begrudge her that?
It's not the actress. It's all Rafe Judkins' fault because I've seen that actress in another role and she did fine in that role. Yeah. But she does not suit this role at all. And what's also, this is the other unfair thing on the actors, right, is the fan backlash. The fan backlash is justified. These people do not reflect the characters. We don't want this actor in this role because they don't look like him in any way. Yeah. And what is the actor who was cast in that role supposed to do? Because they need work and everything like that. Yeah. I know it's not
going to begrudge them.
But they're going to... I hope no hate is given to the actual actors, unless they give a horrible performance. That's actually a result of them. But... And not hate then, I'm talking about valid criticism because I don't think valid criticism is hate. But when I don't think you should be hateful regardless, even if you have valid criticisms, you can separate that. Oz can get a bit passionate.
No, I don't! All right.
Yeah, but I do feel sorry for the actors a bit for, so they get put in the firing line sometimes against, but if they think... I would almost feel like if someone came up to me and said, Shad, we want to cast you as T'Challa. I'd be like, are you high?
That's more like Whack Panther.
Yeah, I know, what? No.
Cracker Panther.
I mean, the only temptation I would have to accept that would be for how much it would trigger, the hypocrites and to point out their own hypocrisy.
Who do you think it could play?
But genuinely, no, I would never accept a role.
Who do you think you could play?
In what?
Any Marvel thing.
Any Marvel thing anywhere. If I was my young self, could have done Peter Parker really well, I think.
I feel like you now, but toned up, you could do what's his name?
Oh, Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange.
Maybe. I have the intellectual snobbery that Doctor Strange needs. I think I could pull that off.
Chad Looks could do it.
Chad Looks?
Chad Looks. I feel like Nathan would do a good Peter Parker.
I hate Chad Looks. Bastard.
Nathan do a good Peter Parker?
Yeah.
I think I'd do a good Beast Boy if you paint me green.
Oz, I think any white guy can do a good Peter Parker, really.
No, it's a specific countenance, man, and you've got it.
You need the nerdy look. You got the nerdy look.
He's got the nerdy look.
It's something to own. So it's a compliment, by the way.
What would I do? If I wasn't so fat and pale, maybe Iron Man? I don't know.
If I was buffed, I reckon I could do Captain America.
If you're buffed?
If I was buffed, because Captain America has this, Boy Scout, goodness quality to me, and that's I have that very much as.
Yeah, I feel like I've eroded that though. I think I have.
A little bit,
yeah.
You're corrupt.
Well, who can I do then? Fat Tony Stark.
Loki.
Oh yeah, okay. Thank you. Thanks, man. All right, who's next? Who's next on the casting block? Elaine
Tricant.
Nicole Kidman.
Is it?
That's 18-year-old Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, totally. It's interesting. You went for someone who's got the cherry blonde kind of, hair.
That's Eyes Wide Shut days.
You need one that's even younger because Elaine's supposed to be.
Wasn't she on Neighbours?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I think she was.
It's just this one has there's a very strong
Imperious.
but no, also immature, very young, like that looks like a girl, like who's inexperienced and you know.
I don't
think
get that for Elaine though. For me, not
Elaine has this inexperienced thing that she's trying to hide and put, you know, like till she's got all this stuff to live up to.
For me with Elaine, I feel like she's got like a regal
She
thing
has.
that she projects.
There is one of the constant poses. Elaine is this. She turns up her nose. She's got
Yeah,
this
that's what I get from her all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
I haven't noticed the undertone of. It's probably there.
Well, there are some funny things that happen with Elaine. Like she is extremely immature in certain ways. There's one moment where she's flirting with someone who it's very inappropriate to flirt with, and so she has this immature quality. Oh, man, you haven't gotten into when she Elaine collects something later in the books, which is just freaking hilarious, and so she has this immature element to it, which is hilarious.
The part I'm at of the book is where the Red Sister came and spoke to the girls after they got back to the thing, and they've just told Elaine, they've let slip that the Black Arja is a thing, and she's like, okay, we've got to be really quiet. The Black Arja. She's like, the Black Arja?
Was that Elaine?
That was Elaine, yeah.
See, I get there is this naive like part to her where she's still needing to learn things, and so, and I think that definitely has that kind of look where Elaine is very much like a young woman growing. Sorry, a girl still trying to grow into a woman too fast, almost.
Yeah.
And
so through the cracks comes the naive girl, and that is
Michelle Pfeiffer as Morgaze. That's
Have
Elaine.
I met Morgaze yet?
Yeah, she's the queen. She's Elaine's mother.
Yeah.
And Morgaze is supposed to be like stunning even in her middle age, and I think Michelle Pfeiffer can pull that off.
And like cunning, but more wisdom and more what's the word? More benevolence than cunning. You know what I mean?
We don't have the casting of Morgaze in the show, so there's no compare. We can't really compare.
We don't even have Elaine.
There is the actress being released for Elaine, and I do like the casting.
Oh yeah,
that one's one of the few ones like, oh, you actually tried to, you know, follow the book somewhat. Avienda. Let's pick who did, because Avienda was just released, remember, and I'm very interested to see
Young
who.
Sophia Loren.
Okay, let's look up this actress. Very interested in this one. Let's see. So Stern look Avienda right here. Yes.
Oh, imagine that with red hair.
Yeah. Interesting, right? She has a slight tan. You can tell that she has a slight tan here, can't you?
Yeah.
So this has been...
Oh, man.
Careful, I was careful. Like, look at this Avienda. This is, stunning, right?
Don't click on that image, Shad. That one you were just on, don't do that one.
What, that one?
No, it's one to the left.
That one?
That one. That look, man. Just that look.
Look at that look. Look at that look. Yeah, look, like... This is stunning actress, really suit the role. What I find interesting, in some shots she has light skin, and other ones you can see an olive kind of tan to her. And the eye eel are sometimes described as being sun darkened, but that they're like distinctly pale, but sun darkened, being out in the sun. And they even Robert Jordan goes out of his way to mention that they wear veils a lot, and so not all of them are that sun darkened, but especially when they take off there's a character, I think it's Ruach, takes off his shirt and Rand is...
Does she ever take off her shirt?
Avienda?
No, I mean Sophia Loren.
No, Avienda actually... yes, they do. I mean...
Well, I'm not looking forward to that in the show because they're going to cast a character, but I'm just saying Sophia Loren is gorgeous. She's gorgeous.
But the tan that she has, I think, actually reflects the level of sun darkening. Sun darkening doesn't mean that suddenly you're
black,
okay?
Like, my brother he started off the same skin tone as me, and he is as dark as that, if not darker.
I mean, the IEL, Robert Jordan said they're supposed to reflect the Irish. They're supposed to be as white as me and Oz. Like, look at...
Irishman.
Look at how white Oz is. Okay?
I'm very white.
And look at... I am as well, like when you go down under there.
I often get confused for paper.
Yeah, but there's a specific part in the books where a character notices that an IEL person takes off their shirt and they are pale as anything. Like, where the sun hasn't reached, they are pale people.
So I could be an ailment if I wanted.
You could,
nice.
Yeah. You just need brighter hair. You need blonde or ginger. Like, ginger is a more common one.
I often get mistaken for a ginger.
Do you?
I often do. It's happened to me like 5 times.
I'm an honorary ginger. Got it in the beard. Look at this.
Honorary
ginger. Actually, it's not even honourary.
Is it an honour?
If you have ginger on the beard, you are a ginger.
Is it an honour, though?
You have ginger in your beard.
Yeah,
right there,
but I'm
right
not
there.
saying I'm an honorary ginger. Let's not say you're an honorary member.
It's a rare breed.
Shad, it's a bad idea to say you're an honorary member of a particular
ethnic minority.
Yeah.
And yes, gingers are ethnic minorities.
One day they'll go extinct.
Well, Hollywood seems to be trying to make them extinct at every opportunity.
And usually I'd be all for that, but no, not anymore.
Oh, she's Aiel. Look at the skin tone. This is the level of tanning sun dark I think that he was referencing.
Yeah,
because-
and you can really see it in this because her chest is. You can see in the cleavage right there, the gap. It gets lighter. It gets lighter.
Oh, that's obviously.
Look,
where
I'm just
Oz-
being serious.
Oz is noticing.
No, I'm just saying. Like you see it right there in the cleavage. It's visible that it gets lighter, and I'm going to assume. I'm going to imagine. Just imagine from that happens as you go further down, like a gradient.
So yeah, look at this. This guy, like
Can you
this
save that? And put it
actress.
in can you save that and put it in the work drive for research?
If you just look it up, you'll like look at this actress versus who they cast. Like, Avienda is supposed to be a knockout. Look at who Robert George is. He picks a knockout, right? And look at who they cast for Avienda. It's like they didn't even try.
They didn't.
Or no, actually, I think they're trying to upset the fan base. They're trying to purposely pick a more diverse cast that they're going out of the way that don't reflect the actual characters. My goodness. So, continuing on. Now we'll pick, let's try and pick ones that have been cast, because Berylane Swan.
There she is.
All right, Renee Zellweger. Oh, okay.
She's pouty.
Yeah, that's interesting. Gosh. So, actually, there's something, I'll make sure, there's an event that happens to Swan that I don't want to be a spoiler.
Yeah, I already saw it, Shad.
What?
The says it in the
Oh,
video.
well, now we got to cut that. But,
Yeah, I know, but it says it in the video. If you go back to the video, you'll see it.
So, I reckon this really reflects Swan in one of the arcs that she has with her characters, which is, but as to before, I reckon Stern and like especially the fish guts. I reckon she could give a good fish guts line.
Yeah, especially in the roles that I know her from, she has done like not ditzy, but
let's just compare the two. TV show Swan versus Robert Jordan casting Swan.
I don't see any difference. They look exactly the same.
Yeah, they're clearly the same.
You know, one looks like fish gut. No, she doesn't. That's rude. That's rude. I'm sure she's a great lady. That's wrong.
But for Swan's arc, especially the important event, who they cast for Swan, it's all like I'd almost be like it's going to be impossible for that actress to do it.
The one thing that they're not the one thing, many things, but one of the things they're very consistent on for all Aes Sedai is agelessness. But for all of the Aes Sedai that they have chosen, they're clearly middle-aged
or older.
Yeah.
Like, they did not get the ages. The way that you would do it, right, is actually cast young actresses for all of the Aes Sedai that you purposely try and, like, look a little bit more mature. You can do makeup things to make them look a little bit older, and you would hit that ageless look perfectly.
Yeah.
But to do that, again, because it's much easier to age up an actor versus de-aging them. You actually need to use, visual effects to de-age them. You could have pulled it off perfectly, but you would have needed to cast all young actresses. And it would have worked perfectly for Swan. But no, they just wanted to go out of their way to cast middle-aged and older women. And so now they all look old. And there's no agelessness at all with the... And it's funny, again, any excuse like we couldn't have pulled that off is bullcrap. Yeah, I just explained how you could have pulled it off. But no, they could not even try.
Natalie Dormer would have made a good Aes Sedai, I reckon. You know Natalie Dormer? You know Natalie Dormer?
I know, I heard the name, I can't put the face to the name.
You'll know her.
Yeah, I would have seen her.
I love Natalie Dormer.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, man.
Vikings and Game of Thrones.
No, she's not. That's Catherine.
Okay. So, sorry, Game of Thrones and Elementary. She plays a character in Elementary.
Does she? Oh, she plays Moriarty in that.
Well, that's a spoiler.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Who's watching Elementary?
It's a great show!
Really?
Yeah, I loved Elementary.
Anyway, yeah, she's gorgeous. Units of hotness for ladies is measured in Natalie Dormer units. Even then, she's still 5 NDs, Natalie Dormer's.
Lanfear. Lanfear hasn't been cast yet, But I just want to see who Robert Jordan picked as Lanfear, because Lanfear is described as basically being the most beautiful woman ever.
Lily James is one of the most beautiful women alive.
She could pull off a Lanfear. Actually, Lanfear is like distinctly supposed to have nearly creamy pale skin from memory.
Well, she's British.
Okay.
So she
looks like she has a tan there.
But that's a put on tan. Like she's British.
Because Lanfear is I almost get Snow White vibes when I think of Lanfear in terms of how pale skin she's supposed to have.
Lily James. What was the Running movie? You see, she's like pale skinned, and she's gorgeous. Anyway.
She could do it.
She could do Lanfear.
You got off that image quickly.
Yeah. Well, poor choice of words, Shad. Poor choice of words.
It's a very poor choice.
All right. But who did he pick?
Actually, that would be Lanfear.
Definitely not. No. She's not like the most beautiful woman alive. She's beautiful, but in a way that I don't find attractive.
Really? I thought, what's her name? She played Lara Croft.
That's Angelina Jolie.
A younger Angelina Jolie could have put off the Lanfear, I think.
Yeah. No, but when she was younger, she wasn't as womanly. Do you see what a young Angelina Jolie looks like? She wasn't as womanly. Back when she was in like the movie Hackers. She like in her mid-30s is when she was her hottest, but...
So like that.
No, this
actually, click on that one.
See, she's not...
That's almost an Egwene look to me. That could be a very appropriate casting.
Bottom lip is too much, but she was hottest when she was in her mid-30s in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Like, that's gorgeous, right? But now her cheekbones are too prominent. That's when she was in like Hackers age. A bit older. But yeah, anyway. I know actors and actresses, man. That's my curse.
Yes.
So who's that? Oh, well, no.
Samira. So it's hard to look up the Lanfear one.
Is that Birgit or Brigitte?
Brigitte. But look, Tuon is we'll end off with Tuon. Okay.
That's Lucy Lawless, and she's gorgeous, even at her current age. She's so hot. She's so hot. Oh man.
Xena as Brigitte. I think that's an appropriate
she was in
pick.
Spartacus.
But she was also in... People know her from Xena most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw more of her in Spartacus, though.
Have not seen it.
You won't
for
want to.
specific reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, perfect Brigitte. But Tuon. So the difference here, okay... he picks Halle Berry. The difference here, I don't think she's as dark as Tuon is actually described now that people have shared some better references and everything. But clearly he picked a dark-skinned actress to play Tuon, all right? And that is appropriate. Heart-shaped face. Look at this one. Look at how it just comes right in. The jaw doesn't stick out. That is heart-shaped face right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
She needs to be a bit darker though.
And she here's one with short hair. I had to pick it because the other one was short hair. Because Tuon actually gets that hairdo when it starts to grow out.
I'm surprised I didn't pick that one.
It's the only one that I could really,
There's one.
There's one there. There's one. What?
There's plenty.
With shorter hair?
Usually always had short hair.
Yeah. Tuon, I reckon, nail the roles, especially in personality and stuff like that. And the variants, all right? The fact that it isn't darker, she's still got dark skin. To me, that's a level of variance too much as significant as head height, okay?
Well,
he picked a dark-skinned actress to play a dark-skinned character, fits the role, and more fits the role with the face shape, which is really important, and also being able to carry it. And any difference is not that great. It does not justify completely flipping the book on these character appearances.
I'm playing devil's advocate, okay?
Yeah.
The darker the berry, the sweeter the fruit. This is just a fact, okay?
Really?
And I feel like they could find a darker,
I think, honestly, I'll probably... Yeah, even a darker skinned woman would... there
are some good... Oh, man.
There was an actress... Was it 12 Years a Slave? There's a young female, and she won the Oscar.
But she's not... She's pretty, but she's not drop-dead gorgeous, and she doesn't really have a heart-shaped face.
Again, if people try and say Halle Berry isn't short enough, she's not flat enough in the chest, and she's not dark enough of skin, okay? Again, this would only be one character out of all these characters that Robert Jordan is suggesting that have a level of variance, and it's honestly it's not that much. Yeah. He would be the authority to do it, and this would. You should use this as your guideline as the actors to try and find to fit these roles. Because, of course, you couldn't pick all. He picks actors that are dead, all right? But you would be trying to find ones that are close to his suggestions if you were being respectful.
We should try to do that. Like, we should sometime in the future release a video
actually do our own casting for
some
Wheel of
picks.
Time with the current actors around. The thing is, though, there is the budget thing, right? And so Game of Thrones is really clever, where they had a big name actor, Sean Bean, in a prominent role, and then all the other actors, they were not like just entering into the acting. They were around, but they weren't big list things.
Yeah.
But they picked great actors for the roles that did great, and it actually
They made them
shot
big
them
lists,
into stardom.
Charles Dance. You know Charles Dance?
Which one is he again?
Tywin Lannister. The old guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's a force.
But also
Lena Headey.
the eldest son.
I know the. I don't know the actor's
he
name.
played Kit in the reboot of Cinderella, which I really like.
Yeah, no, that's a great movie.
He's a great actor.
That's a great
I
movie.
never heard. Most of the actors I'd never heard of in Game of Thrones, apart from like Sean Bean before, but they were
was
great
great in
actors.
Bodyguard.
They were great actors, and they picked ones that not only could act well, but also, to my knowledge, fit the descriptions in the books. I haven't read Game of Thrones, but it can be done. You can find ones that fit the descriptions and are great actors.
Yeah, Carl Tanner. I was a legend. He's in the Halo show now.
Which one is that?
He's a bad guy in the Halo show. Remember the dude with the knives?
Oh, him. Yeah.
great.
He's hilarious.
Great casting in that.
Yeah, and so...
It was a different time.
And also interesting, like, Game of Thrones has very distinct ethnic cultures. And there's a character that goes off to the east, and, you know, they're very consistent. At least they were respectful in that. There was no fan backlash, but... You know, it can't be done because we just found these actors that fit the role so well that we felt, no, you could have found great actors that fit the roles just as well, if not better, did justice, and actually made them reflect what they looked like.
Yep.
And Robert Jordan's picks are brilliant and so much better in some of the examples we shared. And so we wanted to, one, push back against the disingenuous argument to try and dismiss the author's recommendations and he give awesome picks, like phenomenal picks. And that's what we wanted to share in this. Let us know what you think in comments below. And we have more, like we have more things to discuss. Maybe we'll do our own casting for Wheel of Time, but there are other things that we're not dropping this because Wheel of Time, the show, needs to be called out for just the absolute desecration and insult it is to how great the books are.
Because we love the books.
We love the books. Oz, you've finished book 2 now.
I finished book 2, I'm on to book 3. Great
See?
book.
I can't wait for season 2 now because you're going to know all the sources as well.
Yeah, I can't wait for it either.
Oh, I know, actually. What am I saying? But your reaction, I'm looking forward to the support in my grief.
We'll burn together.
we will grieve
Well, that's
together.
why you got to learn Halo before the show ends. So I went to season 2 for that.
I've tried. Thanks for joining us, guys. And until next time, stay watchful.